Do I need a building permit? I don't know. Do you? If you're planning on doing some home renovations, you really need to know which things require a building permit and which things do not. So I went to the Chatham County, Georgia's website to find out if there was a list of things that needed a permit and things that did not need a permit. And lo and behold, they are a goldmine of information. So let's talk about the things that I found. The things that do not require a building permit are typically things that are not affecting the structural integrity of the property, and things where you're just repairing things that were already there. So for example, if you're going to paint the house, if you're going to repair shingles on the roof but not replace the entire roof, if you're going to swap out light fixtures, let's say you've got those beautiful brass light fixtures from the 90s in your house, you're going to replace the existing light fixture with something more modern, but you're not really changing the amperage, you're not changing the wattage, that sort of thing. You're just putting in a more modern light fixture. That does not require a building permit. If you're going to replace carpet, or you're going to tear up your carpet and put in laminate floors, if you're going to lay tile on the floors, those things do not require a permit. What about plumbing and electrical? Well, here are the things that do not need permits. If you've got a leak in your tub or shower, or your sink, or your toilet, and you're going to repair it, you can do that without a permit. You can also do that without having to call in a pro if it's something small and you are capable of doing it yourself. When it comes to electrical, we talked about replacing light fixtures, but you can also replace all of your outlet covers and your light switch covers. You can replace the outlets as well, as long as it's the same type of an outlet and you're not doing any rewiring. If you need to repair appliances such as your stove, your refrigerator, your dishwasher, your water heater, you can do repairs without having to get a permit. And some miscellaneous projects are if you're installing gutters and downspouts, if you're building a fence that is shorter than 7 feet tall, it has to be a wood or a chain link fence only though. And if you're going to put in a portable above ground swimming pool. So it's a pretty big list. There are far more things that do not require a permit, thank goodness, than the things that do. However, let's talk about the things that do. Anything that changes the structural integrity of the property. If you are removing beams, support beams, if you're changing out the location of load-bearing walls, if you are under the house, if it's got a crawl space and it's on pillars, and you are affecting the way that the house sits, whether or not it would be level or not, all of those things you are going to need to obtain a building permit first. Putting in a swimming pool, an in-ground swimming pool, obviously is going to need a permit. Replacing a roof entirely, not just fixing small spots, but putting on an entirely new roof does require a permit. I got this little cheat sheet from the county website, and I'm going to link to that down below because it's very, very handy. And if you are doing any renovations, you're going to want to keep this baby handy. Some of the things on the list that surprised me that they required a building permit were installing exterior siding, replacing windows. Even if there was no size change, it still requires a building permit. There are a couple of things that are a little bit confusing to me. Like this says build a porch, deck, or patio. Yes, you need to obtain a building permit, but on the other cheat sheet of things that do not need a building permit, it says if you're doing a patio on grade, you don't need a permit. So if you ever find anything like that where you're unclear, just call and clarify before you start any work. If you're going to install any new plumbing, a new shower, a new toilet, a new tub where there was none before, maybe you're converting your laundry room into a second bathroom, that requires building permits. But if you're just fixing things, if you're just replacing things, so if your toilet leaks and it happens to be a 30-year-old toilet and you go to Home Depot and you buy a new one for $100, you can replace it without having to get a building permit, according to these documents that are on the Chatham County website. You even need to obtain a building permit if you're going to install a ceiling fan, which is very surprising considering that so many new builders around here will wire a house with two switches on the wall. One switch is to control the light and one switch is to control the fan. They don't put the ceiling fan in the house when they sell it to you. They just put a flush mount, ceiling mount light fixture up there, but they tell you that you can always take that down and replace it with a ceiling fan. What you don't think about is that you technically have to get a building permit before you do that. When it comes to outdoor projects, of things where you would need to get a permit is if you're building a very tall fence that is more than 7 feet tall, you're building big retaining walls that are more than 18 inches tall, you're doing some sort of outdoor built-in barbecue or an outdoor kitchen. If you're going to demolish a shed or install a new shed, both of those require a building permit. And last but not least are the things that, to me at least, are pretty obvious. If you're going to build a new structure on your parcel of land, such as a detached garage or a very large workshop out back, if you're going to build a screened porch or an attached covered porch, anything that is attached to the original structure, those things do require a building permit. So if you're in renovation mode and you're all excited to get started, put on the brakes, go to your county's website, look and see if they have some sort of documentation about what requires a building permit and what doesn't, because the last thing you ever want to get into trouble with is if you go to sell your property, and one of those questions on the Georgia disclosure is, did you do any work on the property that required a building permit and you didn't get one? Because if you say, no, not at all, you're now lying on that disclosure, and that could really get you into some hot water down the road. So do yourself a favor, do the paperwork correctly the first time so it doesn't come back to bite you in the later. I'm Karin Carr with the Georgia Coast Homes team here at Keller Williams Coastal Area Partners in Savannah. And if you love all things Savannah related real estate, go ahead and subscribe because we put out new content every single Monday.